and he worked his ass off. He worked really hard.
But I think if you look at our offensive setup, problem I have is if I play Keaton Parks in that advanced role, I have to sit some of our real quality on the bench. So I suppose it's a good thing to have as head coach.
I was like, dude, let's hop in that line. Like, we gotta go. We gotta go say what's up to him.
Yeah.
And then we were swiftly kicked out of that line.
The standard language that comes around with a win in the way that we won is a win is a win. 3 points is 3 points, but I am finding it tough to feel good about the win.
And a lot of people will say, well, Tati. Yeah, Tati had Maxi. Tati had the ability to grab the ball and bring it forward himself. He had the ability to change games because he's a special player. He's a lot better than Talles is. Well, it was just wild. It was just wild when we got into the elevator and it's blue balls. Then we got
City Boys,
Juan. Everybody's all in this elevator.
Yeah. Episode 92, post-home opener. Obviously, it was a super fun one to make it out to a game, our first of the season, and get to see some people in person, too, that, some we haven't seen before, some we have seen before. We spent the second half of the game sitting with 2/3 of the Beyond the Smokestack boys, Coach Joe and Davey. So that was obviously pretty interesting way to watch a game at the end there. Definitely a lot of fun sharing thoughts with other people, aside from just the two of us while we're like watching a game.
Yeah, no, I would recommend anybody out there watch a game with Coach Joe. That is one of the most fun experiences I've had.
That's what you love about having the home games. Obviously, starting off 2 on the road is never easy for the team, but I think it's equally not easy for the fans. But for us, I think all around it was a great experience. Obviously, we have Billy's beforehand. It's cool to get in there, get some free stuff that they're throwing around. Take some pictures, and then obviously the supporters march too. Walking down the street of everybody coming into the stadium is obviously super cool. I think seeing the passion from all the fans is one of the most important things. And then I think we were like 4th in terms of league attendance for the week. 25K in attendance they reported, so that's crazy. I mean, the atmosphere felt great being there. Obviously, you hope the product on the field is a little bit better, especially to convert maybe some of those fans that are only making it out because it's a home opener. It's one of the big marquee matches that you're going to be at, just because it's the first of the season. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could start a little bit with the lineup. I think there were a few things to take away. Ilenic obviously still starting, even though we heard from Cushing that Tavon was good to go in the midweek pregame. Press conference was a little bit surprising to me, but we do know that
gamesmanship. He's got it in him.
I was going to say he obviously is very invested in the media and what people are saying, so I think he is aware of the cycle that media has, and if he can get it in Phil Neville's head that we're now game planning for Tavon instead of Ilenic, and then they find out when the players step on the field that Ilenic is the guy going. Maybe it's a little bit of edge, or he feels that there's an edge there. So he likes to play those games.
Yeah, which I like to have a manager who likes to play games not only on the field but outside of the field too. I think it's important. You think of the City Football Group, and Pep does it probably the best out there.
Ronnie used to do it.
Pep likes to do it in terms of gassing the opponent up to where they feel like we can do this.
Yeah, Brentford's been amazing lately.
Yeah, right. And they're on like a 4-run losing streak, and they're
they're coming into the Etihad.
Right,
the
empty head.
Okay.
But it was a cool experience. It's cool for Cushing, obviously, to play those games. But at the end of the day, when you're in the media, you kind of do want to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We're asking those questions for a reason. So, there's two sides of that for sure.
Yeah, and then I guess one of the other interesting things, we were unsure how it was going to line up with Matty still being present. Now that Santi was also finally getting the start, we were just under the assumption that it would only be left wing. It could only make sense, and then that's obviously the way that it panned out. And I guess thankfully it did, because Matty, at least for us, I'm not sure if he got the vote like overall or the award, but was definitely the man of the match.
He was announced man of the match, even though I think statistically James Sands had a better game.
Right.
But yeah, he was the Heineken man of the match. And me personally, last week I just thought he had his chance and he was going to be on the bench. It's just the way that the cards fell, in my opinion. I do think that there's too many things stacked in his favor to start, being playing against his old club,
Yep.
having it be his birthday, and seemingly some grudge or something, some weird thing happening with Thiago where he's not in favor any longer.
He's just been iced out of the
Where
squad.
he's kind of getting the malt treatment in a way, which is a little weird. And it's weird. There's questions about it going around the stadium. Even just casual fans being like, "Hey, where is Thiago? Like,
Right.
what's going on?" So all of those things led to Pellegrini obviously getting a start, and he worked his ass off. He worked really hard. He played really well. He looked more comfortable than we've seen him. But like I was telling you, he still looked like he had preseason legs. Like, he didn't look fully fit.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And unlucky not to have a goal, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
We've briefly reviewed the broadcast since last night when we were at the game, but in person at least, when he got that, I think the goalkeeper parried it back to him and he just took the shot and scored a goal. It didn't look offsides to us, at least in person.
Well, and we have the video from our perspective, so I mean, you
Right.
can kind of see where we're sitting, what that goal looked like. If you look really closely, you can't really tell if he's on or off. So from our point of view, it looked on. Obviously, when you see the broadcast, he was just barely offside.
Yeah.
So unlucky, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean it's great, obviously, to travel all the way that we travel from Connecticut to the game, and all the fans that come out to get those 3 points. And I think the standard language that comes around with a win in the way that we won is a win is a win. 3 points is 3 points. But I am finding it tough to feel good about the win.
Yeah.
Obviously, one goal on the season, and that one goal being scored not even by us. We
have the GP goal.
The GP goal, that's true.
That's our only goal.
Yeah. One goal on the season, and then obviously this own goal, not even from us. It does hurt, especially when the Bronx, Yankee Stadium, has long been a fortress. I mean, we outscore our opponents massively. The goal differential when we play in Yankee Stadium is insane, and to not even find a goal in open play or off a set piece, which we've been so great at the past few years, is worrying for sure. And I think a little bit later I want to have maybe a conversation about Tales at the 9, and I mean we can just jump into it. So you obviously I think have been pretty vocal in terms of letting Tales cook and giving him adequate time to figure out if it is actually working or not. Not killing him after week 1, not killing him after week 2. So I wonder, in your case, as somebody that is a little bit or a lot more supportive than some other fans are of him, at what point does it start to worry you, or at what point do you think a change needs to be made, coming from such positive?
Yeah, I don't think a change really needs to happen soon. His performances, his product is a direct result of the team's performances, which I'll be honest, it's getting, like I was telling you earlier, it's getting harder and harder and harder to defend some of the play that we're seeing, and some of trying to keep hopeful and positive watching this team, because you see the moments of brilliance. Mm-hmm. You see the moments where you go, that's the team I've loved for the past couple of years. That's the team. Like, they're playing balls quickly back and forth.
Yep.
They're connecting well. They're communicating well. And then you see like the other 60, 50 minutes of it where they're arguing with each other. They're not passing well. There's not really that chemistry that we used to see. And Tales is going to be a product of that discomfort, that dysfunctional play. Mm-hmm. If you can't string passes together, you're not going to be able to feed a number 9, period, no matter what.
No matter who they are.
Right. And
yeah.
and a lot of people will say, well, Tati. Yeah, Tati had Maxi. Tati had the ability to grab the ball and bring it forward himself. He had the ability to change games because he's a special player. He's a lot better than Tales is. And you just see the dysfunctional team, specifically Santi. Like, Santi is somebody we really need to talk about. Mm-hmm. I understand And Nick said it best. You know, he's had maybe a week with the team at this point.
Yep.
Next week, those excuses end because he's a DP. At the end of the day, Mukhtar was able to come back from being hurt.
Yep.
And immediately affect games.
Only play a half.
Right.
I mean, 30 minutes.
Immediately affecting games. You know,
you look at Zelarayan last week against, you know, we're going to end up playing DC, and we'll get into a little bit of game preview there, but DC was single-handedly dismantled by Zelarayan, scoring a brace against them. And he's obviously a DP caliber player.
Yeah.
That is what a DP does.
And like we were saying last week, it's like if you're a DP, you've got to be able to rely on your talent. It's not just, you know, oh, well, tactically he's not there yet. He's not got the chemistry, blah, blah, blah. You're a DP caliber player. You should be able to perform and carry a team. And, you know, we see him calling for the ball a lot. We see him wanting to be involved, which is a positive for me.
Absolutely.
Those are signs of a DP. But what's not signs of a DP is constantly losing the ball, getting frustrated with the people around you instead of bringing them together. You know, your passes are horrible. Your finishing is terrible. Those are things that can't happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand he's probably got tired legs. You know, he's getting back into it. We kind of gave Sands that pass, but like I said, he's got a game or two left, and it's really on his shoulders.
And yeah, I mean, although, you know, we gave Sands that pass, he got that pass, obviously early on in the past game, but not only in that game, but also in this game, we alluded to it, he was the top rated player probably by far when it comes to statistics. And he even looked great before he went out with the hamstring. It was Chicago, right? He looked great too. And obviously his impact was immediately felt because the second that James Sands comes off, it felt like everything had unraveled. We obviously go and we give up the equalizer. And that's kind of what you expect. Like if your DP is on the field, it should be as much of an impact that like you are severely burdened if they're no longer on the field and it's noticeable. And I felt the same way either way, with him on or off the field. If we're looking at like Nashville when he wasn't around, I don't see too much of a difference, especially in our attack, with the addition of him. Now I think you're right. He maybe has a game or two left of excuses, left of like plane rides explaining it, not being with the team for the preseason explaining it, especially because he does have the history of the system and some of the players around him from the past that you would feel he should be able to build into it quicker than the average.
Exactly.
Quicker than an Olenek, quicker than a Kufre who have no experience at all.
And look more comfortable. And, you know...
And those guys look comfortable.
Right. And in all respect to Nick, dude, Nick's got our respect here permanently. I think the dude is just class. But on one hand, you have Nick saying, oh, you know, give him time. He's barely been with the team, blah, blah, blah. Well, we heard from him that he was able to be acclimated into the system and before this game. Yep. And then you look at the product, and it didn't look like he's been acclimated into the system. Right. It looks like he needs time.
Yeah. And I think pulling it back all the way to the Thales conversation, which really started this, and it does have relation to Santi, because if we get into the talk about the subs, and Cushing obviously was very praiseful of himself, saying that the subs made a big impact on the game, and I'm not sure everybody on Twitter would probably agree with him. I'm not sure how much I agree with him, because we have like a Jason come in over a Thiago Andrade,
but even then, like I was just gonna say, Jason looked better than Santi
all
game.
He looked good, yeah. But when these subs come in, it's not only about the subs that come in. I think he probably should have touted himself higher for the tactical changes that he made of the players that were on the field.
Exactly.
Which was moving Santi to the 9, obviously not a massive thing, but I think the big thing was moving Keaton to the 10. Right. And we obviously had that conversation in the press conference with Cushing. You asked the question, what did it kind of mean to move Keaton into the attacking third, and what does he bring to that position? And is it something we could look forward to in the future? And we could run the tape here and then talk a little bit about his answer.
So we saw Keaton Parks playing in an advanced role towards the end of the game. How did you think that he did in that role, and is that something you're going to use going forward?
I think he has the versatility to be in an advanced role because he's technically good. He can create moments. But I think if you look at our offensive setup, the problem I have is if I play Keaton Parks in that advanced role, I have to sit some of our real quality on the bench. So I suppose it's a good thing to have as head coach. I thought that we were under pressure. I thought the huge positive for us as a football club was that our subs made us better tonight. And that's where we have to be as a team. We have to be tuned in as a bench. We have to be ready to go and make us better, whether it's chasing the game, whether it's holding the game, whether it's more running, whether it's quality, whatever it is. We have a good squad and we're only going to make our squad better. And if we're going to win football games consistently, our bench has to be ready to make us better. And I think everyone that came on today and the way that we shifted it, it made us better.
Coming off of that answer, I guess what were your takeaways as to what he kind of explained to you about Keaton?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what he's saying there is in order to play Keaton in that role, he has to make some other tough decisions. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, it seems like he's made tough decisions already. And to have to sit quality players in the attack, I think he's going to end up having to do that. He's going to be forced to do what he's done to Thiago and maybe sit, Atales or Pellegrini or a GP. GP, a guy who was pretty ineffective that game.
Yep.
He's going to have to make those tough decisions because Keaton looked lively. He looked up to it. The ability for him to win the ball up there for us and retain or win back possession, maybe when we've had an attack and, there's a goal kick.
Yep.
Those are all things that were positives, and he was the most positive player going forward for the time that he was up there. The entire time, and it was more of a of a defensive look when you look at our back line and our midfield. Mm-hmm. But having Keaton up there just brought so much to the attack. Obviously, he missed that chance, which Yankee Stadium let him know how we all felt about that. But he was the best attacking player all game, mm-hmm. outside of Pellegrini.
Well, that may have been, probably the best chance of the game for us to score an open play goal. He had one. I think he was the guy that shot the long shot that ended up being Matty's offsides goal.
Correct. Yep.
And at that point, he was nowhere near in advanced attacking position. So he obviously does have these. He has these attributes that can help him build attack and potentially put himself in positions where he can be finishing a shot. Right. And I think where I was going with it with the Tales conversation and the Keaton conversation kind of come together is Cushing, like you said, it's hard to find a spot for Keaton to fit into the attack when we have so many talented players. And I feel the same way about Tales in the 9. I'm not sure, right? So if we throw around some ideas, if everybody is Tales 9 out, I'll take that. But then what is the solution? Obviously,
yeah, that's the thing. And you're not going to put Gabe in that position right now.
You can't put
right?
Gabe there. And obviously the most important decision, I guess, in that case that could be made is purchasing a 9. But that doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen for DC. It's not going to happen for Houston. It's probably not going to happen for a few games. We have 6 weeks left of the transfer window. So what do we do if not Tales? You think of Santi as an option? We saw that experiment for 20 minutes last night. It's not going to happen.
But here's the problem with that, in my opinion. It looks like Tales will be able to be a 9 in quicker order mm-hmm. than Santi's going to be able to develop into a 10. Because Santi looks so far from a 10 right now.
Or to be able to develop into a 9 if he's going to be...
At that point, he's just got a raw attack and make runs, which... looks and be fed, which seems to be all he wants to do.
Yeah,
because it like you saw it. He wants to be fed at the exact moment that he thinks of it, and mm-hmm. he doesn't want to feed people when they want it.
Yeah,
and it's so anti number 10 to me that he's almost playing the 10 as like a false 9
mm-hmm.
instead of properly trying to be a 10.
Yeah, and in that case, then maybe it works where we can take if
or
he's
we
not,
put him back on the wing again.
Yeah, if he's not showing the positional talent at the 10, then maybe we aren't pulling talent from the 10 to potentially sub in for a 9. But in other cases, when I think of potentially putting GP out there, I think is one of the major things I've seen. Then what do we do about the right wing? I have no clue. I think we take so much talent away from the right wing that you can't make that move. Same thing with the left wing. I haven't seen conversations aside from Thiago coming from the left side of the ball to be considered as a striker. But if we take away him, although he's kind of already been taken away from the left wing, maybe that, to me, and we've talked about it, is the solution. I mean, but then you start Tales on the left, and then now what? Matty is iced out, who obviously man of the match looked great, and then Jason's iced out, who, I mean, I've not been the biggest supporter of Jason. I think we definitely saw different things between what he did in Chicago, and then last night I think he was solid. But
I think he probably deserved a pen. He was lively. When he was on the field at the same time as Tales, which I believe happened. I could be talking pure. Whatever.
No, I think they were swapped.
I'm pretty but I don't know. It just seemed like that period of time, Tales actually looked lively at the 9.
But then in that case, so then Jason gets iced out as well, because if Tales is at left wing, he's been playing 90 minutes at the 9 when needed.
Right. Yeah.
If he is left wing, he's going to play 90 minutes. So now we've displaced 2 very talented players that you need to have on the field.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because you kind of take a player who's not in form, and you're taking somebody out
that's in form,
who's in form to to fix that solution. It is kind of a negative to get a positive, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't envy Nick Cushing in these decisions. I do think that you need to play Keaton in that Fellaini role more.
Yeah.
How do you not? How do you look at that? That period of time and not think he wasn't the most dominant player on the field.
Yeah.
He bossed the game for that moment. And I love to see more of it. Mm-hmm. And you were the one that wanted it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel, about finally seeing it and seeing it go well.
It looked great. We've seen it in the past. I think one of the City Field games I went to last season, I think we scored at least 4 goals, potentially 5 or 6. I don't remember. But when we were up in the box, I got it on video of Keaton scoring one of the goals, and it was one of those exact situations is where he's playing off of somebody else, making these triangles, and then he's running in, and he finds himself 5-6 yards in front of goal with just the goalie to beat. And in most cases, I will say he does finish it, although he didn't last night. But you can't understate how important it is that somebody is going to be creating goals and potentially finishing goals when we literally through 3 games have nobody doing that. Like literally nobody aside from GP on one spectacular take the ball and do it himself move. And I worry about GP too because last night we saw, I don't know, it was like 10th, 15th minute or something like that. He had a play where he cut in with his left foot, and then I think it went off the defender. It fell right back to him, and then he cut in with his left foot again and tried the exact thing. And I'm like, it's week 3. If we get to like week 15 and this is like the only trick that GP has in his arsenal, it's going to be completely neutralized. People are going to deal with it, and that's that. And I worry about that with him being such an important player to our attack.
I've got this right, and it may be a hot take. I genuinely think this next game, what we're going to see, in the same way that you were just talking, you have to take somebody out who's been playing well. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at our midfield, obviously Alfredo's healthy now. He got his first minutes of the season last night.
Love to see that.
Looked
too.
great.
Yeah, I love Alfredo.
He's not a player that's going to be on the bench.
He shouldn't be.
And how do you displace Keaton or Sands, right? In my opinion, the next game, we're going to see Keaton at the 10, or, we're going to play 3 midfielders, and he's going to be the most advanced.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see Santi back at the 9.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see Tales at the left wing and GP on the right.
I like to see.
And we're gonna see Tavon back again.
Right. Yeah. I'd like to see it. I like Cushing. I think has proven in the past that he's willing to make little changes to see if something's gonna work. If other things are not. Obviously switching in the second half of Nashville. It's a major change to move Tales out left when the preseason, the whole story has been he's going to be our 9, he's going to be our 9.
Yeah.
And bailing on that 45 minutes into the season is very mature decision, in my opinion, to slap Thiago in and be like, hey, we've been working this thing for a month, and then we found out in 45 minutes it doesn't work. So I don't think that's impossible to happen.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
We could see the debut of a diamond for NYCFC, with Santi at a 10 and dual strikers of GP and Tales kind of just playing up in attacking positions, waiting for balls to be played to them.
And I'm afraid to say it because we said it about Chicago in terms of like a get-right game. But DC is nothing special either. Obviously, they've strengthened a little bit. It's a home game, second one in a row. So now I think that maybe will be the most important part of creating comfort for our players is traveling's done. They're going to be in New York all this week.
Yep.
Back in the groove. I couldn't believe when I saw that the last time we played in Yankee Stadium before the home opener was over 6 months ago. And that is supposed to be our home and our fortress. And the players obviously feel that way too from the product that we've seen on the field. Not in the last game, but 6 months ago and before. So I think and I hope that comfort will help them, especially against DC, who, although strengthened, were the wooden spoon guys last year. They do have Benteke. Obviously, Tavon and him have a little bit of history on the field.
Yeah.
And it should be a good game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm dying to be there. Unfortunately, I won't be there this week. I was just informed of the reason I'm not going to be there. So, but I'm dying to be there. I'm just happy for the boys to be at home all week and to be able to ice up, because that ref. It was one thing that I wanted to ask in the press conference to Nick. It just seemed like I didn't want to walk him into a fine. I didn't want to hurt the man's pockets with a question. But man, that ref really left our boys out to dry. Coach Joe said it best. He was wearing pink for a reason.
Yeah.
He looked genuinely like he wanted Miami to come in and steal points from us. No regard for our players' health, safety, anything like that. Basically anything that we did to enter Miami was considered a foul, card, if that.
Yep.
And we had dudes getting cleared out that were just uncalled, unchecked. Sands getting blasted at the top of the box.
Yep.
Jason, obviously, that foul. I haven't gone back to look at him. For me, though, it was clear. It was clear.
Yeah.
It just is a horrible, horrible game for the ref. I think he should be, honestly, ashamed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the constants, unfortunately, with
horrible.
NYCFC and MLS is like, I don't know, far too often you're gonna have a ref that is impacting the game for one team or another, and you can't have it. You can't have it.
I will say, first and foremost, we hurt ourselves way more than the ref hurt us.
Yeah,
but he did not have our health and safety in his mind at all. It seemed very clear that he, I would like to talk to his bookie. What type of bets was he waging on Miami?
Yeah. And I guess wrapping it up, a big ups to Barraza, first clean sheet of the season. He definitely
a huge save.
Yeah, there were one or two saves where he was definitely tested and had to earn that clean sheet.
Passing was great.
Passing was good. So a fun thing, I think, that's my favorite part of the home openers. We get to meet everybody in person and kind of touch base. Obviously, we met the Pigeons on Twitter.
Yep. Super
cool guy. Obviously has some interesting questions of Cushing, and then, got to retouch base with Trey from Blue Balls and Juan, obviously, from Empire Sports Media was cool. It's cool to see the guys in person.
Well, it was just wild. It was just wild when we got into the elevator and it's Blue Balls, and we got
City Boys,
Juan. Everybody's all in this elevator.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how many media people can we cram into one elevator? I mean, it was like we were in there, really. But it's cool. I think that's one of my favorite parts about the home games is getting to see everybody, getting to talk to them too. We obviously listen to some of their episodes, but getting their thoughts prior,
right, and during.
Yeah, and then it makes it more interesting too to hear them and kind of, because you can kind of anticipate what they're going to talk about, during the game, and after the game when we touch base. So always cool. you asked the question of Cushing. Obviously, first time. I think not only the first press conference you were at in person, but the first where we asked a question in a long time.
Right.
So more of that to come. We didn't break into the locker room.
To be fair, it had been so long that I've gone as media that Esteban forgot my name.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
you know, I understand.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was cool to like get that experience and get that out of the way, so I don't feel, you know, pressure or anything like that.
Yeah. And in true post 90 fashion, we didn't get into the locker room. We could have, but we thought of all of our questions that we had for different players on the ride
Right.
home. We were like, oh, it would have been great to ask Alfredo how he feels coming back. It would have been great to ask Barraza about how he feels about, you know, getting his first clean sheet in front of the fans. I mean, his first game starting in at home in front of everybody. Right?
I mean, like this season.
He's the guy. Like he
since being the guy.
Right.
Yeah. Without somebody coming to steal his job soon.
Yeah. Although they're, you know, layup questions, but
yeah,
still.
But just, you know. Oh, and funny story was we saw Pellegrini after the match.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously this guy being, you know, a Matty in
supporter.
guy.
After player of the match, Matty, you know, goes
on his
and does
birthday.
on his birthday against his former club.
I was like, dude, let's hop in that line. Like we gotta go. We gotta go say what's up to him.
Yeah.
And then we were swiftly kicked out of that line.
Yeah, we were told we didn't have the proper
proper
wristbands that were required to meet Matty.
Like,
but it was cool. They sang happy birthday to him. That was pretty cool. I can't believe they had him in the line at, you know, 11 o'clock at night on his birthday.
Dude just wanted to go home and sleep.
Signing autographs and you know, meeting hundreds of people, but a stand-up guy. I mean,
yeah,
I love to see that character from Matty, especially after what was probably, I mean, his biggest game for the club. I love to see that as a Matty guy. So
unfortunately, I think he's benched next week, but we'll see.
Hopefully more to come for him. Obviously, looking forward to DC.
We need a statement win. We're in need of a statement win. And if it's DC, it's DC.
Yep.
I want something to truly cheer about with this club, and not have the feeling like I've got icing on my face or something.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I think that's where we'll end it. We'll see you guys next week. Post 90 Pod anywhere that you get a podcast.
Yep.
And follow us on Twitter. Join the conversation there. That is the number one place to get in contact with us and to get integrated into this wonderful community that is the New York City Football Club. We didn't even talk about it. We bumped shoulders with Ian. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya. And Joe.
Yeah.
Well.
Peace.